The following is incredibly delicious. Your taste buds have been advised. Today, it's butter chicken with a mastermind. From the heart where flavor is forged, the man, the myth, the legend returns with another jaw-dropping recipe. Ladies and gentlemen, all those gathered, now we feast. And now your host, Big Mike the Chef 2K.
Didn't do it nearly as good as I do.
Gotta remember it.
On the radio.
I don't remember it.
And all my friends are gonna be like, no way, Mastermind. Welcome back to the Chef 2K's kitchen. We're still in Toronto and we got a special guest today. This is a guest that I was listening to when I was a teenager.
Hey, making me sound super old, but it's all good.
I hear Mastermind make some mean buttered chicken, so that's what he's gonna do for us today.
Let me preface, there's probably gonna be some traditionalists that want to jump into comments and be like, oh, you're not doing it right, or blah, blah, blah. This was a recipe that my aunt, in Calgary, ironically, that my aunt taught me. And over the time, it's been modified a little bit. It doesn't come out as red as the restaurants and stuff, but everybody who's eaten it tells me it tastes great. So at the end of the day, that's all I care
That's all that matters. Yeah. I love to hear that this is something that came from your aunt, because we are all about preserving that family food culture, the family recipe. We're losing recipes, we've heard it before. If you guys want to bitch in the comments about it, you go right ahead. That's just better for me, okay?
Butter chicken, famously named after the one ingredient it barely uses. Instead, it gets its richness from cream, tomatoes, and spices. Here's what you'll need to cook along today.
So, I mean, obviously there's some traditional ingredients when it comes to cooking any kind of Indian food. So we got some curry powder, coriander, red chili powder, turmeric, obviously, smoked paprika, cumin powder. You got your kasuri methi, which is dried fenugreek leaves. Chaat masala, kind of like a finishing masala. Garam masala, which is obviously traditional Indian spice. And obviously families have their own variations of it, but there's a handful of traditional spices that always go in, you know, cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of things that go into garam masala. A ginger garlic paste, tomatoes, tomato paste. We got some onions, cilantro. Obviously we got chicken. We got ghee we're gonna cook with. For the traditionalists, I don't put like hot chilies. I don't do that. I like to spice, and this is where they're gonna get mad. I spice mine with some hot sauce. Yeah, this is so not traditional. Don't hate me.
I've seen an old lady tell me right to my face that she put that shit on everything. I'm just here to be part of it.
All right, so the first thing we gotta do, we gotta marinate the chicken because you gotta put it aside, let it sit for a bit. The other thing I wanna preface is I don't really measure anything. It's kind of just feel.
And it might 3 tablespoons.
You could do the magic math. That was smoked paprika. This is cumin powder. And really you get the color from the paprika, and it's kind of all the same, roughly the same measurement. So again, everybody's got a different recipe. You do it just to compare, get ideas and whatnot.
Bit of turmeric, dash of curry, measured with the same precision as a kid pouring juice.
Again, just
red
kind
chili
of
powder I was looking at.
This is the one that I'm gonna use sparingly because I don't know.
You're not sure.
It doesn't smell hot.
I always do.
Now, in famous last words, it doesn't smell
it's
hot.
interesting. I found not too long ago, paprika was just ground up bell pepper, right? A lot of this is for color too.
Really, it actually has a really nice flavor.
We also want to put a little bit of mustard oil. This is not necessarily something that everybody does, but I saw it and I'm like, okay, because it helps to break down the meat, right? But you're not using a lot, just a touch, right? Do we have a spoon? Yogurt, obviously, for a couple of things. Well, I guess I didn't need the spoon, really. How?
That's how you empty out a sour cream container.
It's yogurt, but yes.
Oh, shit.
This is garlic ginger paste. It's just an easier process than sitting here and trying to mash up garlic and ginger.
When I'm cooking, I have a lot of time on my hands, so I like to do it with my knife.
That might be a bit much. We'll deal with it. It's actually quite a sweet flavor, which is interesting because ginger can be spicy. But I also think that because there's so much chicken that we might be good to go.
Messy hands, messy pans. If it's clean, you didn't do it right. While Mastermind works the chicken, Mike makes it rain sodium. Mix it well. Using your hands can be effective and mildly therapeutic. Just don't make eye contact while you're doing it.
Over. Like, interestingly enough, I grew up eating Indian food. You know, my mom cooked it all the time. She's never made this dish. It was roti and dal and, you know, sabji and stuff like that. We're gonna let this marinate. Okay. Typically, you would put it in the fridge for at least an hour, maybe 2. If you can leave it overnight, you leave it overnight. I'm gonna go wash my hands.
Yeah.
Hand washing. It's not just hygiene, it's the difference between you and a fast food operation.
I forgot my apron, which is crazy. I should have had it on. Throughout my career, I've helped a lot of artists. And just this past Christmas, and I completely forgot about it until I told my wife I was coming to do this today. She's like, you gotta take your new Mastermind apron. So one of those artists got me an apron for Christmas to show their appreciation. So
beautiful.
Here it is. I'll never wear this at home. I'm not gonna cook with an apron at home. No. We're gonna run it here.
Give me one moment.
All right.
All right, here we go.
We're gonna start making the gravy. The chicken's still marinating, and when we start cooking the chicken, it gives us about 20-25 minutes, depending on what we crank the heat to start making the gravy. 380 or even close to 400, and might put a nice little char on the chicken as well.
While Mike tries to unlock the mysteries of the oven, Mastermind's already mixing turmeric, cumin, coriander, and garam masala in a bowl.
I got it on convection bake. Pow! Tip of the day. When you're warming up your oven, convection, roast, broil, learn those functions before you start cooking. Short and sweet. Figure it out.
Well,
broil is heating from the top. If you want to brown something quick,
might be time to Google it, or just Uber Eats and pretend this never happened.
So it's coming from both sides.
We're gonna start cooking the chicken. And so once we get the chicken into the oven, and we can really start going on the gravy that we're gonna be making.
Properly marinated and ready to mingle straight into a sizzling pan of commitment. Lay your chicken out like a drunk uncle at a barbecue, face down and full of sauce.
So what are you up to these days, my man?
I'm still doing radio. I run a station in Toronto called 5105 on the FM dial. I also built and run a channel for Sirius XM. It's a Canadian hip-hop and R&B channel. It's called Mixtape North, channel 164. Again, that's on Sirius XM. You know, I take a lot of pride. I've done it my entire career of helping artists, doing whatever I can for the culture and the music out here. Until it stops being fun, I'm gonna keep doing it. And as long as the check clears. All right, so we got the oven at 380. You don't need to fully cook the chicken. The chicken's gonna continue cooking in the sauce.
In the gravy.
In the gravy. Anywhere between 25 to 30 minutes.
So what, you're trying to get this about 3/4 done?
3/4 of the way done.
And then you're gonna finish that in the gravy.
Correct. And depending on, if you wanna up the temperature a bit, you could get a little bit of charring on your chicken as well. By the way, we're using skinless, boneless chicken thighs. You can use breast. I've done both. They both come out fine. In we go.
Okay, let's do it. Go. Okay, one of those racks is not sitting flat.
You might have to put them the other way.
You're losing all the heat.
How many chefs does it take to put butter chicken in the oven? Well, the answer might concern you.
You want to put a timer?
That tip of the day out all the time.
Pow!
Pow! Preheats his pan. Bam!
Just want to keep it on low and warm it up. For the gravy, we're going to start with onion, and it doesn't have to be a dice or anything, literally a rough chop. We're going to end up immersion blending the entire sauce anyway, obviously before we add the chicken in. But
so that's where that silky smoothness that you get in the nice, rich butter chicken sauce comes from. It's him blending in all of those spices and making it all one smooth, velvety sauce.
Absolutely.
Start chopping like you just left Fat Beats with a bag of vinyl at a record deal. No need to overdo it. There's more violence to come.
Kind of break them apart anyway. What I learned recently is that this stuff, the skin of the onion, and same with garlic, those are the things that you end up using to make the powders, which is kind of wild because we don't eat it, right? So
now that the onions are chopped, we hit the pan with ghee. Enough to brown the onions and give your spices something luxurious to swim in.
We could probably use a little bit more.
Once it's heated, add your onions.
I do whatever's easiest at the time.
You know, it's funny, as a kid, they used to make fun of you if you smelled like curry and stuff. And then as an adult, you realize how crazy they were because it's delicious,
beautiful,
smells amazing. You can only have, Kraft dinner and hot dogs so many times, right? So now when the onions are going, because we did a rough chop, you want to kind of, as they get softer, you want to break them up and you want to make sure that everything is getting, coated and is definitely starting to fry in the ghee. You also want to add salt at this point. We're going to salt throughout, but you want to add salt. It brings out the moisture and it also helps the base flavor start going.
Sprinkle in some salt, but go easy. This isn't your driveway in the winter. We'll be adding more as we go.
Can't take it out, but you can put it in, so that's it.
It's getting brown, but we do want it to be more brown than this because, again, that builds the flavor. And once you start adding the spices in and all the other ingredients, you're just gonna keep building off of that. So we've been frying the onions in the ghee. It's been probably about 20, 25 minutes. It is a long kind of process because you want to get it to a certain color. And they're slightly browning, right? So you could go a little bit darker than this, but at the same time, you could keep it pushing.
Now that your onions are brown, add your ginger garlic paste using the
again,
whatever the you feel
eyeball
like
it again
method
with,
of measurement.
especially with the amount of chicken that we're making, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we want to let this cook as well.
How long do you think?
This is like 2 or 3 minutes, just enough to get the rawness out. Warm it through, incorporate it into the onion. There's something about cooking ginger garlic paste. It's just, it's got this great aroma. You can see that it's starting to kind of break down the onion a little as well. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the spices. So again, in our spice mix, it's curry powder, turmeric, paprika, we got red chili powder, cumin, coriander, garam masala.
And you're doing the same amounts of everything.
Right, and we're eyeballing,
Yeah.
but I mean, if you really want to
Trying to get it the same. That's
right. You know, with what we've created here, you're probably not going to end up using all of this. So it looks like we're going to go with probably about 3/4 of this.
Okay.
These spices really did soak up a lot of the fat. Still a little to work with, but I would probably have some boiling water on standby because as this continues to cook, you have to really cook out the rawness of the spices now. You want to get to the point where you've cooked it so that the oils are starting to separate. So we're letting the spices, onions, and the ginger garlic paste cook. I added a splash of water just to make sure that, you know, it could move around a little bit because spices will end up drying out. You know, obviously you can see some of the oils are starting to release a little bit. So the next step, once we let this cook maybe a couple minutes more, maybe 2 more minutes, we're gonna go with tomato paste. It's concentrated, it's a base. The interesting thing about butter chicken, as much as it's called butter chicken, it's very much a tomato-based dish, right? Arguably, it's like almost like a tomato soup with a little bit more spice to it, you know what I mean? So now we're gonna go in with the tomato paste. In Canada, a lot of it is canned. They've now started incorporating the ones that are in the squeeze, like toothpaste or whatever. And I like those because you use what you want and you put it back, whereas this is like, you know, if you don't use the entire...
You gotta use the can.
Sometimes I'll put the entire can and sometimes I won't.
Add your tomato paste and mix it like Beanie Man in '98. Let it simmer for 3 minutes.
Very similar is you have to cook out the rawness of it.
Oh, the smell that's coming out of this is amazing.
You could add a little bit more salt here, but I tend to wait until we've added the tomatoes and the whipping cream because that allows me
to taste it,
right.
And you can add it.
You know, I also like to allow some give so that if my wife likes it a little saltier, she can add her own salt. So the next thing we do then at this stage is we go with the tomatoes.
So you're using the tomato juice, the tomatoes. This is pretty
All
much
of it.
your deglazing.
Correct. You can add a little bit of water if you want at this point, but I don't really think I need to because again, there's enough juice in this can of tomatoes where now, you know, we're getting a bit of a good consistency from a liquid standpoint. Again, I've seen different variations of the recipes and what people do. And some people just kind of finish their butter chicken with a little bit of cream. Some people add the cream as they're cooking like I do. I literally put the entire carton in.
That's what I do.
And so what we do now is we're gonna turn it down to low because we're gonna add the cream. And we obviously don't wanna cook the cream and curdle it. So
After you Beanie Man your tomatoes, Wu-Tang the mix, cream, get the money.
this ends up coming close to chicken korma color, like a korma curry. So what we're doing here is we're just making sure that the entire mixture is getting broken up, mixed in. Pow! So here is probably where I would do my first taste test. Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna try it with you.
That is good. Interesting. See the red chili powder? I can taste the kick there. It's not overpowering.
It's slow when you feel it. It's creeping down the back of your tongue.
But it's not like I don't like my head.
It's not
getting-
uncomfortable.
I like to enjoy my food, so I don't like getting my head blown off with spicy food. But again, for me, I add Frank's Red Hot just because I like the flavor, and it adds a bit of spiciness that I can mess with.
Time for Frank's, just a tablespoon and a half. Enough to turn your chicken from a tribe called Quest to Public Enemy.
Becomes a taste thing, right? So I think we could probably add a little bit of salt, I think. Like, typically what I would do here is I would leave it on low, I'd put the lid on. This is where I go off and just, you know, go check my emails and let it sit for 15, 20 minutes. We'll come back and we'll revisit and retaste and We'll hit it with the blaster. So this is in obviously Indian cooking. It's called kasuri methi, which is basically fenugreek leaf, dried fenugreek leaf, and it's a staple in Indian cooking. They add this to a lot of different dishes. You know, when I put the spices in, there's been times where I put it in there at that point, and let it start from the very beginning. And then there's been times where I put it in this stage. We're gonna do it that way this time.
Okay.
And so basically, you're taking like a handful or so. It really depends on how much of a batch you're making.
Yeah.
You're gonna crush it in your hands.
Activate in your palm.
You're gonna activate it, but it also helps kind of grind it up a little bit, right?
Mastermind rubs fenugreek in his palms to wake it up, because dead leaves don't belong in a dish this alive.
And it doesn't have to be super ground up. You know, I ground it as much as I wanted to. And obviously there's ground fenugreek as well. There's fenugreek seeds. I've never had it just by itself. I know that's very much a chefy thing, but it definitely adds a super depth of flavor. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more because typically I should be able to see its presence.
This is coming together something special. I'm super pumped to try this.
Back in the day, it was getting a jar of like Patak's butter chicken sauce and, you know, doing it that way. And as soon as you learn how to do it, you want to make it your own, right? All right, so now we're at the stage where we're gonna let this cook a bit.
Just gonna let this do its thing.
What we can do is we can pull out the chicken and chop it up, and we can get that ready to go.
Fresh out the oven, perfectly marinated chicken, so tender, it might start telling you its life story.
Now you want to come taste the sauce.
Wait, you can't no.
So what we're doing now is we're just using the immersion blender. You can use a regular blender if you want. I just think this is a little easier. If you want to just make it a more luxurious, smoother sauce, I think we might be pretty good. Like I said, you can put a lid on it and let it kind of simmer. We got it on low. We might turn it up just a touch. What I like to do is wait until I put the chicken in before I turn it up. So we can chop up the chicken to get it into the nice bite-sized pieces. What I use at home are tongs and kitchen scissors, because what I'll do is I'll take the chicken and I'll literally cut it. But since you got the nice wood cutting board here, I figure let's just, you know, do it chef style.
Where's my knife?
Oh, this smells great.
Chicken chopped like DJ Screw, bite-sized with big flavor, cooked slow, loud and banging.
We might not even have to, like, it looks like it's pretty much cooked all the way through. We may not even have to leave it in there.
Supposedly when they're doing butter chicken, they're doing the chicken tandoori style, right?
From my understanding, yes.
In the tandoori oven.
Yes.
Which is gonna get you that char.
You are gonna get the char. So again, I have done it a little hotter, where the caramelization happens with the yogurt and all that stuff.
Chop it well. Butter chicken's not a knife and fork thing. It's a scoop it with rice, wipe your face after thing.
Well, I can tell you know what you're doing. You speak very, very fluently in cooking. I've learned a lot just from sitting here and listening to you. That's why I cook. That's what I love about cooking.
Pow, it's gravy time, baby. And just like that, the chicken meets its destiny, covered in sauce and 5 minutes from greatness.
So we chopped up the chicken, we've added it to our sauce. It depends on how much you cook the chicken through. So if we had brought it out a bit early and it was still a little pink on the inside, it would sit in here a bit longer, right? We kind of got it to a pretty decent temp. So we don't want to overcook it and dry out the chicken. With a good butter chicken, you got to have a bread. And we have a couple. We have naan bread here. Naan bread is great, but we also have, well, this is Malaysia. I've never heard of Malaysian style prota, but this is delicious Indian bread. It fries up and it gets crispy, but we're not frying it in anything. But it's just because it's made with a lot of butter. You put it in a frying pan, it cooks up, you flip it a couple of times. It's spectacular. So typically what we'll do near the end, there's two ways to kind of look at it. I'm gonna add my chaat masala and a little bit of garam masala. Now these are just...
That's how you're gonna finish it?
This is finishing. We could chop up some cilantro and add it in, which I've done. Or you can wait till the end and just put it on top. So
I like that idea because I hate cilantro.
Right.
Chaat and garam go in. Easy now. We're finishing, we're hungry, one wrong move, and we're ordering pizza. Now that the spices are in, lightly brush your prota with ghee. Think spa day, not oil spill. Now lay a bed of jasmine rice, which is exactly what I'll need if we don't speed this up. Next, sprinkle some cilantro and prepare to eat like you paid for it twice, because let's keep it 100. You probably will.
so we got steamed rice. Everything was cooked. We're kind of just letting it meld and come together, if you will, right? I don't know the color. Mary.
I like to say Mary.
The sauce tasted great. The chicken tasted great separately. You put them together. You let them sit for a little bit, 10 minutes. Again, a lot of it depends on how well the chicken was cooked in the oven, like how long you cooked it for, right? All right, here you go, sir.
Okay, guys, we have arrived at my favorite part of the show.
I hope it tastes good.
Oh, wow, look at the sauce. It's got a beautiful sheen to it, perfect velvetiness to it. Okay, I'm going in.
All right.
Wow. And then you built those flavors amazing. The chicken is still perfectly moist too. He didn't have all night to marinate that chicken, but he still managed to get that flavor all into that chicken. That's money right there.
It's a little spicier than I normally make it because we use the red chili powder, but it's right there where it should be. And again, I want to preface that people are going to be, oh, it's not butter chicken because it's not red. I didn't do the red thing. We use a lot of cream, whipping cream with my specific recipe. So it looks more like a korma, but it doesn't taste like a korma.
No, it tastes like a butter chicken.
Right.
And thus
Well, I'm glad you
concludes
like it.
another journey into the heart of flavor, led by your fearless and occasionally distracted guide. A man no spice can conquer. Special thanks to Mastermind for putting up with us and sharing his secrets. They are absolutely not safe with us. And as always, if you liked what you saw, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and saturate your timeline with our madness. Until next time, stay saucy.